Hey, we are here live for our Women We Admire series, and I am thrilled to introduce y'all to Dekia Scott. She is the Director of Trust Finance and Chief Investment Officer for Southern Company. She's coming to us today from Atlanta. So we just want to talk with Dekia, get to hear her story a little bit, and I have a few other questions that I want to ask you. So let's get started with sort of the Cliff Notes version of your story from like childhood to how you got to be Director of Trust Finance and Chief Investment Officer.
Sure. Good question. So I am originally from the Gulf Coast area. I'm from Mobile, Alabama. And yes, and my husband is from a nearby town, Daphne, Alabama. And so we went to high school together. We didn't date in high school because that would have been way too corny, but we found each other later on after college. So I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic schools all of my life. I graduated from a Catholic high school in Mobile called McGill-Tulane Catholic High School. And I decided and was pretty certain that I would attend a Black Catholic university in New Orleans called Xavier University. And I applied, I was accepted, and I went for a campus visit, and they said, here at Xavier, the ratio of girls to boys here is 14-1. and back then, that sounded extremely alarming. And so that is really when I decided, well, for that, I could consider a women's college, right? That I wasn't necessarily as open-minded to at first. And then Spelman has a program for seniors who also are accepted called A Day in the Life. And you come to the campus and you spend the night with a student in a dorm, and you attend classes with them all day Monday. And so I was sold after that on Spelman.
What was it about A Day in the Life at Spelman that hooked you?
Well, so you're going to class, you see professors who look like you, which I didn't always have that in my younger years. And you saw very bright women from all over the country. You saw Greek life. I had never seen that for the first time. At night, there would be men from Morehouse pledging and singing at midnight. And I just thought, that's so different from where I'm from. And so it just, just to see that student shadow her, meet her roommates, her friends, how she navigated the day. It was just very inspiring. And today that is still the bestseller of freshmen for Spelman College. So I have a 16-year-old daughter, and she's a rising senior. And I'm not trying to be too pressy, but I know after the day in the life, I'll have it in the bag. That's what I'm hoping. So I moved to Atlanta, and I went to Spelman College. I majored in economics, graduated there. And at the time, the president, Dr. Janetta Cole, began a program called the Spelman Emory Partnership. It was designed to better diversify the student body at the Emory Business School. Back then, it was just Emory Business School, not Cosweta. And the program was for 3 students to be selected to interview and be selected by a corporate sponsor. Back then it was Wachovia. We don't have Wachovia anymore. It was Wachovia, Coke, and UPS. And I was one of the 3 students chosen for that program. So unlike many of those in my business school class, myself and 2 other students, we went straight through to business school. And that was a great experience. The best part about it was that we took exams to waive certain classes, and we were not as rusty as some of our peers. So I bypassed all econ classes because I killed the exams on that because I had just done the work in several other classes. And so that gave us a little credibility to some of our peers who were like, but still, you still had to prove yourself. And as you know, the business school environment is group projects, interviewing companies and leaders, my first year, I was myself and these other two women. We got the part of the project to compile everything and write it up nicely. They
Okay.
didn't trust us to interact with executives around the city of Atlanta, but that was fine. And then the second year, we had established that credibility. I actually was elected president of the Black MBA Association, and we were the first class in 1995 to graduate as the Gosueta Business School. So Roberto Gosueta actually handed me my diploma, and
Oh,
that is a huge honor. I didn't know how important that would be that day, but it certainly was a huge moment. And so I'm very involved in both of those
mhm,
alma maters of mine. And so right after that, I went to work with a woman who started her own asset management firm for high net worth individuals.
mhm,
And she was on sabbatical from Bell South. She had worked in the treasury team.
mhm,
And she reached out to one of my professors who's still there, Professor Jeff Rosenzweig, is very well known, an economist known around the country. And he was the advisor for Black MBA. And so when she asked him about a student, he referred me. And that's how I started my career in asset management. I took all of the Series 7s and 63s and all
mhm,
the licenses that are required to trade on behalf of clients, et cetera. And I think I had been there about 2 to 3 years when I was sort of reaching out more to some of my Emory colleagues and found out about the CFA program that they had started. And I enrolled, and it was a minimum of a 3-year commitment, one exam a year. And I learned more about the institutional money management side of the business, right? So I had come from, you know, working with high net worth individuals, working with their estate planners, attending bat mitzvahs, you name it.
mhm,
We were there for it, right? It's a
mhm,
great experience, but it's a different kind of conversation when you are investing to reach a goal like pay for a wedding or college. That
mhm,
whole conversation around relative performance relative to a benchmark doesn't sink in as well with someone who can only see that they're over the period they had a negative return, right?
mhm, mhm,
On the institutional side, it's very different. It's really how well you're performing against your benchmark that
mhm.
really drives how you're evaluated as an investor. And
Okay, let
so,
let me ask you this. So this is helpful to me and maybe people watching. Like in layman's terms,
sure.
what exactly do you do?
Sure. So I joined Southern in 2000 as an analyst, and I started with asset class responsibility. And that basically means the pension team at Southern is divided between asset classes. Someone oversees real estate, someone else oversees fixed income, private equity, domestic equity, and international equity. So
Okay.
when I started, my boss at the time gave me international equity. And that means that you are really responsible for the strategy, the asset managers, the performance of those teams, the due diligence of those teams,
Mhm,
determining if a recommendation to terminate is warranted and
mhm.
how to replace them, the cash raises,
Okay.
everything associated with your asset class.
Okay.
You do that. But most importantly, Julie, you look at how well these managers who we are hiring for active management, which means we don't want them to go purchase an index portfolio because that's
Mhm,
really a passive way of investing. We're hiring them and paying a fee
mhm.
for active stock selection to
Okay.
outperform their benchmark. And
Okay.
so that's really how I started, and that really is the probably the central objective of a team like ours. We're plan sponsors. Several major companies here in Atlanta and abroad have an in-house investment team, and that's what we do for the
Okay.
Southern Company Pension Plan. Yes.
Right. So one of the things that I know about you, Dekia, is that you are very, you're very involved with the business school at Emory with Spelman, but in general are a big proponent of mentoring, particularly around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so
Sure.
my question, I guess my question is two parts. what does the landscape look like in terms of diversity in your field? And what do you want other women of color to know who might be interested in getting into this field?
Sure, great question. So, it is still very much a white male dominated industry. And there aren't a lot of women of color or men of color who have risen to the most senior levels within institutional money management. There
Mm-hmm.
are certainly more of them in 2021 than
Mm-hmm.
when I started in 2000. So
Okay.
that alone is extremely encouraging. But it's still small enough where I probably, if I don't know them personally, I know someone who does,
Okay.
right? And
Okay.
if I wanted to reach out to a pioneer in the business and just learn something, I'm probably one or two emails away from them. So
Okay.
that still means that, the numbers are still,
Mm-hmm.
small enough that we
Mm-hmm.
can really have our own community. And we really do in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
so, what I would say to women and men of color who are interested in this business is not to discourage yourself from entering any field, especially finance and investing, only because right now you don't fully understand it. Because
Mm-hmm.
what is the truth is that everyone has to move along a learning curve and
Mm-hmm.
learn the business from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you do it, the more you learn, and the more mistakes you make, the more learning lessons you have. And a lot of times, especially women of color, feel that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
they look at an industry like mine and they say, well, I only see white men doing well in that business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could make it or do very well there. And we have to kind of push back on that thinking, because there is no magic sauce that any other demographic is consuming to help
Mm-hmm.
them be successful. Everybody's working hard, everybody's learning as much as they can,
Okay.
and as long as you're bright and curious, you can do it.
Okay. Well, so you may have already answered the question I'm getting ready to ask by what you just said,
Sure.
but um, is there anything that you know now that you wish you had known earlier in your career that you would want to let other people know?
Sure. I guess what I've learned over the years is that you hear a lot about it now, that a woman can look at a job profile and see a list of responsibilities and may not be comfortable that she can nail every single one of them and do it with no problem. And they say that men look at the same job profile, and if they feel like they can do 25% of it,
Right.
great, I can do it.
Good.
It's taken my whole career to understand that why men are better at that thinking. They have confidence that they may not be able to do everything on day one, but they have the aptitude to get up to speed and be the leader they need to be
Mm-hmm.
in a short amount of time. And
Mm-hmm.
so, if I had thought that way when I first started in the industry, and certainly at Southern Company, and I had an executive who gave me some really good words of advice. If I had thought that way sooner, maybe I would have been a little bit more aggressive about seeking different opportunities or more senior levels of where I am,
Yeah.
uh, of where I was at the time. And so I literally started as an analyst and moved to the role as chief investment officer, because I learned over time, again, there is no magic. It is judgment, it is being confident, it is being a good person to be
Mm-hmm.
around,
Mm-hmm.
connecting with people, and making good relationships. And most all of us have those skills.
Yeah.
But
No, that's
I will tell you the word of advice that I got from a CFO
yes.
years ago, and I tell it to my children. And he was CFO, I guess, around 2007, 2008. And I was pitching a big project for him for what we call a Viva Trust for Georgia Power. And I was leading the project. There was a lot of people around the boardroom, but I really was the one who was point on the project. And when the discussion was over and he had all the questions answered that he needed, he asked me to stay back to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And my boss left me there, and my peers left me there. They were like, I don't know what he wants to say, but it's for you. So we'll see you back at the office.
Uh-huh.
And what he said was, he said, Dekia, the company is not this, outside, far away entity. The company is us.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, at night when we leave and turn the lights off, there aren't little minions running around the floors who are getting the work done.
Yeah.
If we don't do it right, then it won't be done right. The company is us. Mm-hmm. And that was that. I sat down with him. He was an older white gentleman, mm-hmm. and so he wanted me to know if something goes wrong here, I'm not gonna be, I'm not looking for minions. I'm looking for you.
Right.
And his name is Mike Harold. He's a retired CFO, and that was one of the best analogies I had ever heard in my career.
So, I love that. That's great. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I mean, clearly, y'all, Dekia is a wealth of wisdom. I mean, she's had a lot of experience and has, obviously progressed in her career into a role of extreme responsibility. So thank you for sharing all that. I want to ask you a few just quick kind of fun questions if you have one more. Okay. So what is the song that belongs for sure on the soundtrack to your life?
Oh, that's an easy one because I play it a lot for myself and my daughter. It's a song called Mirror by Layla Hathaway.
Mirror by Layla Hathaway.
Mirror. Please look it up. I will. It is the best refueling song you'll ever have. Mirror by Layla Hathaway.
All right. And who would play you in a movie about your life?
That's a good question. So the first thought I had was Octavia Spencer because she's from Montgomery. I actually know some of her classmates from Lee High School where she attended. And, I love the documentary that she did of Madam C.J. Walker. She just spoke my language, right?
It was, yes. If y'all have not seen that, it's excellent. I watched it.
Yeah.
I think it was right around this time last year. We were all locked down and we just loved it. It was great. I love Octavia Spencer.
I do too. And she has a great sense of humor. She has friends of all walks of life. Mm-hmm. That tells me she's open-minded to just meeting good people. So I choose Octavia.
All right. Good choice. All right. And my last question is, what leader, current or historic, would you most like to meet and why?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. So the first person who comes to mind, you said past or present?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Current or historic.
Current or historic. So I'm a member of a sorority called Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And the first African-American woman to run for U.S. president was a woman named Shirley Chisholm. Mm-hmm. And, she was a member of my sorority. She pledged my sorority. And she was so brave and so confident. And this was back, it had to be in the 50s or the 60s. And she just told herself she could. This necklace that I'm wearing was given to me by a friend of mine from Spelman. And it was after I was promoted to chief investment officer. Mm-hmm. And it means, it's encrypted, and it means she believed she could, so she did.
I love that. I love it.
Yeah, so I wear it every day because I love it. It's very simple. She believed she could, so she did. Mm-hmm. And Shirley believed she could, so she ran. And as we are super proud of Vice President Kamala Harris, who is a member of our sister sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. Very proud of her. But, I'm told she also recognizes Shirley, and
Mhm.
Shirley is a role model of hers as well. And so you got to have a lot of courage, and you
Yep.
got to have a lot of self-confidence
Yep.
in that time to tell yourself,
Yep.
I'm going to go on the ticket,
Yeah.
right?
I
And
love it.
so that's
Love it.
someone I'd love to talk to.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Dekia. I know that you are a very busy person, so we really, really appreciate you taking
Sure.
the time to talk with us today.
You're very welcome. Thank you,
So much.
Julie. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
All right.
Take care.
Okay. You too.
Bye bye.